Discipline overrides desire because desire is inconsistent, fleeting, and rooted in emotion, while discipline is anchored in decision and commitment. The path to success is not paved with good feelings. It is paved with repeated actions done with intention, even they are not enjoyable. When people base their progress on how they feel, they end up achieving very little because feelings change. You might wake up today feeling motivated, but tomorrow you wake up tired. If your actions are controlled by your mood, your future is at the mercy of your emotions. That's a dangerous place to be. Success requires something stronger, something more dependable than desire, and that is discipline. Desire makes people dream, but discipline turns dreams into reality. Everyone wants something: more money, a healthier body, better relationships, spiritual growth. Wanting is not special. Everyone wants, but few people are willing to do what it takes, and even fewer are willing to keep doing it when the initial excitement wears off. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is what makes you show up when you're tired. Discipline is what keeps you learning when it's boring. Discipline gets you back up after failure. Discipline does not care if you're in the mood or not. It only cares whether the task gets done. When you rely on desire, you're always looking for motivation. You spend time scrolling videos or reading quotes, waiting for a spark to get moving. But people who operate from discipline don't wait for motivation. They create momentum. They decide in advance what must be done, and then they do it. They do it when they feel like it. They do it they do it when people are cheering and when nobody's watching. That's the power of discipline. It's not emotional, it's intentional. Now think about the athlete who trains at 5 in the morning every day. Do you think they always feel like it? Of course not. But they do it anyway. That's why they perform at the top level. Think about the entrepreneur who works on their business late, and do you think they're never tempted to relax, scroll, waste time? Of course they are. But they push through because their commitment is bigger than their comfort. That's the difference between people who dream about results and those who produce results. Discipline overrides desire every single time. Desire makes you wish for change. Discipline brings the change. People say they want to get in shape, but skip the gym when it rains. They want to grow a business, but don't want to read a book or face rejection. They want financial freedom, but spend every dollar on temporary pleasures. This is what happens when desire is in charge. Discipline, however, sets a schedule, follows a process, and refuses to be thrown off by excuses. Discipline wakes you up early. Discipline makes you say no to distractions. Discipline makes you uncomfortable, and that's where real transformation begins. There is also spiritual wisdom in this. Even the Bible doesn't say be led by your feelings. It says be led by the Spirit, be led by truth, be led by wisdom. Feelings can lie, emotions can mislead, but when you are disciplined, you are no longer tossed by every wind. You become rooted, you develop character, and character produces endurance, and endurance produces results. That's why discipline is superior to desire, because it produces the kind of strength that endures beyond the moment. If you examine anyone who has achieved mastery in any area, business, fitness, faith, relationships, you will see discipline behind the scenes. You will see consistent effort, repeated routines, hard choices, and daily commitments. These people did not wait for the mood to strike them. They didn't need perfect conditions. They just showed up and did the work. That's the mindset that builds wealth. That's the behavior that creates impact. That's how legacies are made. Desire is what gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. When you make discipline your foundation, your goals are no longer optional. They become non-negotiable. You don't hope to grow. You plan for growth. You don't wish to succeed. You prepare for it. And when life tests you, and it will, you respond with action, not emotion, because you're not led by how you feel. You're led by who you decided to become. Discipline always overrides desire because desire fades and discipline finishes. Feelings are not the CEO because feelings fluctuate, they lie, and they often lead us away from what we truly need to do. When you allow feelings to run your life, your actions become unpredictable, inconsistent, and ineffective. The role of a CEO is to lead with clarity, vision, and purpose. A good CEO doesn't make decisions based on momentary emotions. A good CEO is driven by values, strategy, and long-term outcomes. In the same way, your life cannot be governed by how you feel. If your feelings are your CEO, you'll never be consistent, and without consistency, there is no growth, no wealth, no mastery. Too many people confuse their mood with their mission. They wake up and check in with how they feel before they decide what they'll do. But purpose-driven people do the opposite. They check in with their purpose, and that determines what they do regardless of how they feel. When your purpose is stronger than your feelings, you become powerful. When your vision becomes louder than your emotions, you become unstoppable. But when your feelings are in charge, everything becomes negotiable. You'll exercise only if you feel like it. You'll build your business only if you feel excited. You'll invest in yourself only if you feel inspired. That kind of leadership leads nowhere. Emotions can be helpful indicators, but they make terrible leaders. They reflect what's happening in the moment, but they don't always reflect what matters in the long term. You might feel tired. What you need is movement. You might feel afraid, but what you need is action. You might feel discouraged, but what you need is faith. If you obey your feelings, you'll stay stuck. But when you obey your commitments, you create freedom. Here's the irony. The more you ignore your feelings and act on discipline, the better your feelings become over time. Action changes emotion more than emotion drives action. Most people are addicted to feeling good. They want comfort, ease, and instant gratification. But growth doesn't feel good. Leadership doesn't feel easy. Mastery doesn't feel comfortable. If you're doing it right, you will often feel resistance, fear, doubt, and frustration. But those are not signals to stop. They are proof that you're in the right place. You don't get to success by avoiding discomfort. You get there by doing what's right in spite of how you feel. Feelings might whisper lies like you're not ready, you're not good enough, or it's not worth it. But your purpose tells the truth. You are capable, you are called, and your effort matters. Imagine if the pilot of a plane decided to fly based on emotion instead of instruments. One cloud, one storm, one moment of turbulence, and they would crash. That's how most people live. They have no internal compass guiding them. Only emotions that shift with every conversation, setback, or challenge. But when you run your life like a real CVO, you fly by purpose, not panic. You check your mission, not your mood. You stay on course even when the skies are dark because your navigation is rooted in something deeper than feelings. People often say, follow your heart, but your heart must be trained. Your heart follows what you consistently feed it. If you feed it discipline, courage, and action, it begins to align with your purpose. If you feed it comfort, laziness, and fear, it will mislead you. This is why you cannot trust every feeling that shows up. Just because you feel it doesn't make it true. Just as it doesn't mean it's right. Truth is not emotional. Purpose is not emotional. Success is not emotional. It's intentional, strategic, and sacrificial. When you dethrone your emotions and put your values in charge, you take your power back. You start doing what needs to be done because it needs to be done, not because it feels good. You begin leading your life instead of reacting to it. You start showing up consistently, producing results, building trust with yourself, and creating momentum. Over time, that momentum compounds into mastery, wealth, and impact, but it all begins with one decision. The decision to stop asking your feelings for permission. You are not your feelings. You are not your thoughts. You are what you repeatedly do. Your habits are stronger than your moods. Your choices matter more than your emotions. Feelings may visit, but they do not get to sit at the head of the table. When you learn to lead yourself with vision, discipline, and values, you become the CEO of your life. You stop waiting, you stop drifting, and you start building. Because real leaders don't follow their feelings. They lead them. Temporary pain leads to permanent growth because pain is the process that transforms potential into power. Pain is the proof that you are being stretched beyond your limits, and it is in that stretch where real progress happens. Most people avoid pain at all costs, not realizing that what they are actually avoiding is the very thing that would make them stronger. You cannot grow without pain. You cannot level up without sacrifice. You cannot elevate your life by staying comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. If you want to live a life that reflects purpose, power, and prosperity, you have to be willing to go through some things that hurt. Pain is not punishment. Pain is preparation. Every seed must break to become a tree. Every muscle must tear to grow stronger. Every diamond is formed under pressure. If you never go through pressure, you never find out who you really are. The people who win in life are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who made peace with pain and chose to use it instead of run from it. They decided that pain would be their teacher, not their tormentor. They looked at adversity and said, this is where I get better. This is where I learn. This is where I sharpen my tools. When you avoid pain, you delay growth. If you always look for the easy way, the shortcut, the escape, you will never build the strength required to sustain success. Growth is not something that happens in your comfort zone. It happens when you are stretched, challenged, tested, and forced to face what you would rather avoid. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding, that workout you've been skipping, that habit you know you need to break. Every one of those things brings pain in the short term, but breakthrough in the long term. Pain now or pain later. That's the truth. You either embrace the pain of discipline or suffer the pain of regret. Pain builds character. Pain builds endurance. Pain reveals your real priorities. When things are easy, anyone can smile, show up, and pretend they're strong. But when pain enters the room, your true mindset is exposed. Will you push forward or will you fold? Will you make excuses or will you find a way? Growth is not in the victory. It's in the fight. It's in the struggle. It's in the process. Pain shows up to refine you, to remove weakness, to reveal strength, and to stretch your capacity. There is purpose in your pain. Every setback has a lesson. Every delay has wisdom. Every failure holds value, but you only access that value if you stay in the process. Most people quit too early. They tap out in the middle of the pain before the transformation can happen. But if you stay in the pain long enough, something begins to shift. You develop new patience. You discover new strength. You gain new perspective. And when you come out the other side, you're not the same. You've grown. You've leveled up. You've expanded your ability to lead, to love, to build, to endure. Nothing of value comes without a cost. Every promotion requires preparation. Every blessing requires responsibility. And preparation and responsibility come with pain. Pain demands you to let go of what's easy. It challenges you to kill old habits, old identities, and old excuses. It forces you to become someone new. That's what growth is, a death of who you were and the birth of who you were meant to be. And the doorway to that transformation is pain. It may not feel good in the moment, but it's shaping you for something greater. Pain teaches discipline. It teaches focus. It teaches hunger. It teaches you how to fight with faith when your feelings scream for escape. Pain is a mirror. It shows you your weaknesses so you can fix them. It shows you your blind spots so you can confront them. It shows you the gap between where you are and where you want to be and gives you the fire to close that gap. If you want to rise, you must be willing to suffer on purpose. Not meaningless suffering, but purposeful pain, the kind that comes from hard work, sacrifice, honesty, humility, and commitment, the kind that rewrites your story. Stop running from pain, stop praying it away, learn to lean into it. Listen to what it's trying to teach you. Let it build you, strengthen you, purify you, because the pain you feel today is the strength you will walk in tomorrow. And once you realize that pain is not your enemy, but your ally, nothing can stop you from growing. Mastery emerges through repetition because excellence is not an accident. It is a product of deliberate and consistent action over time. Nobody becomes great by doing something once or twice. Mastery is born in the mundane, in the daily grind, in the repeated effort when nobody is watching. The world celebrates results, but real champions celebrate habits. It's what you do consistently, not occasionally, that defines who you become. Repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity creates confidence. The more you do something, the less fear you have about it. The more you engage with your craft, your business, your fitness, your communication, your purpose, the sharper and more natural it becomes. That's how greatness is built. Not in a day, but day by day. Most people want to skip the repetition. They want to try once and see massive results. But success is not an event, it's a process. It's doing the same thing over and over with focus, passion, and intention until the results begin to compound. Repetition is how you build skills, and skills are what create value. Value is what gets you paid. It's what earns trust. It's what produces influence. But you don't develop skill without reps. Just like a musician must play scales thousands of times, just like an athlete must shoot hundreds of shots daily, just like a speaker must practice their message over and over, mastery is formed through commitment to the basics. Repetition is the grind that most people avoid. They think if something feels repetitive, it's not working. But the truth is, repetition is the engine of mastery. It's the proof that you are committed. It's the training ground where your mind, body, and spirit align. Every time you do it again, you are reinforcing your identity. You are saying to yourself, this is who I am. I am a builder. I am a learner. I am a finisher. Repetition creates consistency, and consistency creates results. You cannot rise above what you do repeatedly. When you embrace repetition, you begin to see results others miss. You start noticing details. You start making adjustments. You start refining your technique. This is how mastery takes root. It's not about being busy. It's about being intentional. Repetition without intention is useless. But when you show up every day with purpose and focus, even if it feels boring, you are laying the foundation for something great. The work may feel small today, but it becomes unstoppable over time. You have to fall in love with the process of doing it again, the process of learning through doing, the process of showing up on the days you feel off. Because the moment you quit repeating the right things, you stop growing. Many people get inspired and start strong, but they stop when results take too long. That's why repetition requires faith. Faith that what you're doing is working even when you don't see the results yet. Faith that small seeds produce big harvests. Faith that discipline today builds destiny tomorrow. Think about anything you've ever mastered in life. Walking, reading, writing, driving. It all came through repetition. You didn't walk perfectly the first time. You fell. You tried again. You corrected. Over time, you stopped thinking about it because your body learned it through repeated effort. That same principle applies to every area of life. The more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. The more automatic it becomes, the more energy you have to innovate and expand. But without repetition, you never reach that level of ease and flow. Repetition also rewires your brain. It creates new neural pathways. It changes how you think, how you respond, how you handle pressure. You start operating from confidence instead of hesitation, from habit instead of confusion. That's the hidden gift of repetition. It transforms not just your skill, but your identity. You go from someone who's trying to someone who embodies the skill. You don't just play music, you become a musician. You don't just run a business, you become an entrepreneur. You don't just train, you become an athlete. It's the repetition that makes it real. The enemy of mastery is distraction. If you keep jumping from one thing to another, trying new hacks and shortcuts, you never go deep enough to master anything. Depth requires repetition. Excellence demands depth. If you want to stand out, stop chasing everything and start repeating the right things. Focus, simplify, and do it again and again and again. That's how mastery is forged. Repetition is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is not exciting, but it is effective. In a world that celebrates quick wins, be the one who chooses repetition. Because the one who masters repetition masters everything.